This build features content from packs that I got for free through the EA Creator Network. And today it's part 3 of my Copperdale save file. It has been 5 months since I've made a build for this or upload a video on it. I knew when I had started it that I would probably take a while to do the save file, and I just didn't really feel very inspired over like the colder months to work on this because when I had come up with this idea, it was like summer and I was like, wow, like 80s slasher horror movies. And then like once it started getting colder, I was like, I don't really want to work on this. And it's spring now, and I've been feeling ready to take it on again because I was doing some gameplay with a couple of Sims in Copperdale, and I put down the 2 community lots that I had built already, which was a cinema, and it was like a karaoke shop, but it was like 5 different stores, kind of was like that sort of lot. And I put them down and I was playing with it and I was like, wow, I really wish that I had finished that because I would love to be able to play in Copperdale with all of the lots that I was building. And so I built this. It is a diner. And if you haven't really seen me do my Copperdale stuff, the whole idea I had was that it was going to be like a haunted Copperdale. I was going to come up with some sort of like lore and story and some Sims, which I haven't done yet. I don't know if I'm going to get like way like into lore and story building for this as I had thought I was going to, because in my Glimmerbrook one I did come up with a whole story, and I would like to do the same thing with this. But right now I'm kind of just building just to get some lots in, and I didn't really have any. I mean, I only built 3 community lots, so it's kind of hard to come up with, like, a story for that. When I eventually make Sims for it, I guess I could make them, like, that they work in these lots. Like, when I was doing gameplay, I made a young adult, and he has a sister who's a teen, and I like to pretend that the teen is working at the movie theater that I had built. So it's kinda just gonna be, like, when I do make the houses, I'll try and, like, pretend like they work in different areas of the town that I had already built. And the lots that I did build already, they're all in the same neighborhood too, so if you want it, you could just go on my gallery. I don't remember the exact hashtag, I'll have that in the description, but I'll have this uploaded, and so there's, like, 3 community lots that are built for Copperdale already. I think that the last 2 lots in this section of Copperdale, it's going to be just like a regular house on one of the smaller lots that is left, and then the large house that has like, I think it's like the principal lives there. When I do my save files, I usually just delete all the Sims that came with the pack and I make my own. So they're gonna be gone, and want that lot to be like apartment buildings so I could fit in some more Sims because I do want to put a lot of community lots around this place. And but, like, then I'm like, I have barely any households, so I'm gonna have some sort of apartment building up there, which I haven't built an apartment building in a long time. Like, this entire save file is a little bit outside of my comfort zone because I don't usually build in this style. I don't really build, like, in a suburban town, and so, like, it's a little bit slower for me because I am, like, getting the hang of doing it while I'm doing it. And for this build, I really just looked up pictures of, like, small town diners in America, and that's what I was going for, and so I was just looking at the different shapes of it, and I just was, like, pulling out items that I thought would work for it, and this is what I ended up coming up with. It's a very basic shape, but I think it works. It is fairly small on the inside too. There aren't too many tables to sit down to eat, but I also know that dine out can be a bit buggy, and like usually I don't really like use restaurants in my gameplay. I felt like this was more just like a backdrop for like pictures and for the town. But I did have my sim come and they ate here, and I don't think it took way too long for them to get their food, which I remember being the case years ago. I don't know if that's been changed or not. I really like I haven't been to a restaurant in The Sims in years, so I really don't know if like what has changed or if anything has changed at all. Oh yeah, I don't know if you had seen before. When I was trying to do the terrain, I wanted to create a slope so it could be kind of like a ramp going up so that there was like a staircase at the front and then the side would have a ramp. but the terrain was being so weird, and I've never had that happen to me before where it wouldn't line up with the, like, porch or, like, deck area. So I just had to give up on that idea because I really just, like, that's never happened to me before, so I really didn't know what was going on. And for, like, the colors of this build, I really like the green wood paneling I used as accents for some of the, like, parts of this build. I wanted it to be, like, have enough colors where it sort of, like, fit the vibe of the other 2 builds I had already built, but I also wanted it to feel a little bit run down, and I wanted to use some, like, regular wood paneling too. I add some I think it's, like, rain rot around from for rent, so I have that on, like, the white paneling areas, and I was trying so many different things for where, like, the neon sign is for the diner, and you had seen me before trying to see, like, if I wanted to put this stranger Ville, like, it was, like, the stall up top, but I felt like I was like, "This isn't really Copperdale." I liked how it looked, but it just, like I was like, "This isn't really Copperdale," so I got rid of it, and I did something a little bit more, like, just, like, generic, and I do have to change out that door because originally I thought that door was just one side decorative, and then the inside could just be whatever. I thought it would just be a blank wall, but that piece, it is decorative on both sides, and it's not like a functional door, and it just took up the entire wall over there, and when I had was trying to figure out the floor plan, I was like, "This place is so tiny, I can't have this fake door in the back for storage because that's gonna have to be the kitchen." The kitchen's really tiny. Like, say you downloaded this and you wanted your sim to run this restaurant, there isn't really a lot of space to grow or add more, like, cooking tops and, like, waiter stations, which might cause problems if you were, like, wanting to use this and actually, like, run your own restaurant. I'm sure you could renovate it. I was, like, thinking of doing a basement for this because with the whole haunted theme I wanted to do, I thought it would be cool to have a really scary storage basement down here, and then I didn't know where to put the stairs, and I guess I could have, like, done one outside. I mean, I still have time. Maybe I could do that. If maybe that'll happen and at the end of the video, I'll be like, "Wow, surprise. I have this creepy cellar now in the diner," which I really wanna do now. This video will probably be late anyway. Like, usually I upload on Mondays, but I was considering just having this be a couple days late anyway, and I don't think it would take me too long to just add in a basement. There is definitely room to do it on one of the sides because I have one side is where trash is, and then, like, I'm pretty sure I could just adjust some things and add a staircase leading down to a storage basement. That'll be really interesting, so I'm going to definitely do that. Maybe later today I'll do it, and it'll be, like, thrown at the end of the video. I also wanted to have, like, these bike stands out here, and there's, like, a broken bike piece that came into one of, like, the newer packs. I think it came with Business and Hobbies, and so I threw that in where, like, the other 2 bikes are in here. I put a couple, like, tables for outdoor seating out here, and this is where my sim ended up being sat when, like, I was playtesting a little bit, and, like, all the tables on the inside were just, like, filled up so quickly. How many tables are there? I think there's, like, 4 booths, but it's not, like, full seats, like, around the entire table, and then 2 other tables on the inside. So there's not, like, too many areas to sit, which, like, is reasonable because I only put enough space for, like, 1 of the cooking things and 1 waiter like, station and then 1 host stand, and that's all I really did it for, so it would make sense that this would be, like, very small and not have a lot of seats in there. Also, that, like, blue graffiti, I end up changing to a different one because for some reason, the blue was just, like, too much. Every time I looked at it, I felt like it was sticking out way too much, so I think I used the same graffiti I used in one of the other lots that I had built, which is what I was trying not to do, but it's been so many months that I was like, I feel like it doesn't matter if I have two of the same graffiti in the community lots here. It's just The Sims anyway. I did also want to talk about the lot ideas that I already have that I'm planning on doing at some point. I don't know if I'll have like another part of this next week because I have a different build idea that I want to work on, but I am going to do like a sleepaway camp in sort of more of the foresty neighborhood of this world. And I'm like thinking maybe I make that into a park and I want to try and do sort of like an ice cream truck like in the front. And I've never really tried to do that before, but I think it would look really cute. And so I want to try to do that. And I remember that originally I was going to try and have the high school be inspired by Midwich Elementary, which is like Silent Hill, right? But I've never really played that. I did watch the movie like a few months back because like I wanted to because someone was saying, "Oh yeah, like this save file reminds me of Silent Hill." And I was like, "Never played those games or seen the movie, but I do play Dead by Daylight and I know Pyramid Head and I know like the elementary school because it's a map there. And so I wanted to try and like have some references to that where possible. Building a high school is going to be so difficult though. But anyway, my other idea, I wanted to do some sort of bakery with like an apartment up top, which now I could actually do with business and hobbies. So it's kind of nice that I didn't work on this for a while because I knew I wanted to do a bakery with like a residential lot, but that wasn't possible until business and hobbies. So it's nice that I took a long break from working on this. And you could see that a lot of the like decorative pieces are now on the outside of the diner. I have some like benches in the front and just some like bushes around. Some of it's overgrown and like messy, and then there's like the really like nicely cut bushes in the front. Like it's very I feel like they're like, okay, we'll maintain just where people sit down and then the rest is just we don't need to worry about that right now. But back here where you see the dumpster is where I'm thinking of putting the staircase that goes downstairs to a storage cellar. I think that is possible. I could just like move the fence one tile over, make it a little bit wider, and then I could keep the dumpster and have the staircase as well. And it's like no problem. There's no windows on that side. So I could really just play around with it and like it's not like someone's sitting at the table and then all of a sudden there's just a dumpster right out the window. So I could just play around with that area and do whatever. It won't be like a huge basement. I just wanted to just like look very dark and unfinished. And it was like the people who work here really just do not want to go downstairs to get anything out of storage because it's really scary. So that's like what I'm gonna go for with it. So I did end up doing that, and it will be at the end of the video. So like I stopped doing the voiceover and I was like, you know what? I think I could just start this now so that I don't push it off and then I'm like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. So it was actually very quick too. I did exactly what I said I would do, with just like bringing out the fence a little bit and adding the staircase. It's very small basement. There's like a walk-in fridge area, and then the rest is just like a bunch of storage stuff and like maintenance things down there, and that's pretty much it. And now I'm working on the floor plan of the diner, which took me a little bit to like figure out and decide where I wanted things to be. I was going to try and have like larger bathroom and have a couple of them, but because this place is so small, I just put one bathroom in that ends up being like 1 by 3, and it definitely saved me some space. And I was just trying to figure out where I was going to have like the counters and like the dessert display. Cause at least like the diners I've been to, you walk in and like usually like where you would pay, they have like cookies and stuff that you can buy. And so I wanted to have that be like sort of at the front. And I really didn't know what I was doing with the floor plan. I was just starting with this and I was seeing where it would go eventually. There are points in the video where I'll like make a huge cut and then there'll just be a bunch of items around because I did spend a lot of time scrolling through, especially for getting clutter items. I didn't like have that record it, I just like paused my recording and then I just like pulled out a bunch of stuff and I put it all over the floor, which sometimes I do that. I don't do it often, but for builds where I don't really know what kind of stuff I want and like cuz I don't build in this style very often too. So it takes me a lot longer to decide what items I want to put together and what would make sense for the like lot that I'm creating. I also wasn't entirely sure what direction I was going to take the diner cuz like when you look up like retro diners, it could be like very like there's just like a bunch of different things. I didn't want to go for like the checkerboard and like red like everywhere, so I didn't really do that. I do use like black and white tiled floors, which, like, they're, like, the fancy ones from Get Famous, which I know is, like it's looks a little strange in a diner like this because if you zoom in closely, there's, like, the gold accents around it, but I was just ignoring that because I don't like the look of the smaller tile checkerboard. I feel like it's too busy, and I like it to be, like, a lot, like, larger squares, which you could only really do if you alternate a larger tile, and that's, like, the one that I had found that worked the best for what I was doing. And so, yes, when I was deciding this now, I was like, "Okay, I need, like, the counter and the host station," but now I don't know where I'm going to have them walk in. So I did a fence piece and I put a gate to make it look like they could just easily get through, and that's, like, the employee section. And over here towards the front, this is where I would imagine you would like, if you're waiting for your table, you would sit over there, and I wanted to set up, like, a video game area, kind of like fast food restaurants as a kid where you would go and they'd have, like, the GameCube that you could play. That's what I was imagining when I was, like, picking out items to figure out what I wanted to put into this build, and you'll see it, like, coming together now. I decided to use the Penguin TV because I thought it was cuter, and the other one was just, like it just wasn't what I wanted. And I found these display cases, which at first I wasn't sure if they would be able to use the items in it because I've never really used these display cases before. But I did play test it, and my sim was able to just sit down and you could click the console in it as well as the TV. But you can see I did leave like a part of the top of the TV out a little bit just in case because I wasn't sure if you could click it, but it does make sense that your Sims are able to use the items in there. Because, like, when you were a kid and, like, you had the GameCube at, like, a fast food place, you couldn't, like, get into the games or anything. You would just have access to the controllers here, which I put on this cute rainbow cloud shelf, and I think it, like, came together really nicely. I like how it looks. I actually remember I would always play it was like the Super Monkey Ball game on GameCube. That's what they had in like these sort of cases when I was a kid. And I never even knew that game existed outside of that. And then later on in life, I like the DS came out. And so I had it on DS. I was like, this is the game that I always played on these little things that I never knew what like if I could ever have it for myself. But now I'm just, like, planning out where I want the seats to be, and I do make, like, slight changes here and there, and I was, like, trying to decide if I wanted to do, like, the red theme in here, but I wanted it to be, like, warm colors, so I used some, like, yellow mostly and a lot more wood because that's just, like, what's natural for me and what I like the look of, and that's the direction I went in instead of trying to do, like, the other sort of, like, retro diner with, like, all the red and, like, a lot more checkerboard. So you could see that I do have the tiles in now, and I picked out some wallpapers, and I cut it out because it took me a lot of time, and I it's like, I don't wanna be sat here talking over me putting down all of these tiles. Some of this stuff changes too. You can see I'm still trying to use the tile walls. I just changed that to the wood panel because it looks so busy right now. And it took me a little while to like settle on how I wanted the walls and the flooring to look. And I did pick out like this mural type thing, and it was reminding me of when I see, I guess like when I was a kid, it's like just like inspiration from that. But I remember Friendlies having sort of like a carnival mural on a wall. And so when I had seen that from like one of the nursery kits, it's like the storybook nursery kit, right? I used that wallpaper and it's like a pretty landscape with hot air balloons. And I thought that it had like the right energy for the build and I really liked it. And now you can see I changed the lighting, which I keep forgetting because for a while I didn't have Better Build Buy installed when like the game had an update. So I've completely forgot that with the mod you can just change the lights by clicking on it in build mode. And so I didn't change any of the lighting until I had my sim come here to the diner to like just like play test some of it. And then I only remembered that I could click the lighting to change it with my mod today when I went to do the basement. And I was doing the basement. I was like, oh, I don't want to have to bring my sim here to change the lighting. And I was like, Megan, you use a mod for that and you always have. But then you had like a week and a half of not having Better Build Buy updated. And so you've completely forgotten that you could do that. You'll also notice that I'm still trying to figure out the floor plan and this counter space because I felt like maybe it was a little bit too closed off and I really didn't know what to do, but I ended up just like going back to how it was and going from there because I was trying to open it up a little bit more and then I like I don't know, just ignore all of it because I end up just undoing everything, but you can see I'm trying to see how it would look if I opened it up. And I was like, no, I kind of want you to be able to walk in and it feel a little bit more cozy and not just like have one big open room in the diner. And yeah, I'm even zooming in to try and like get into the headspace of a sim going in there. And then I just grabbed some things out. I really wanted to use this trophy case. It was just so big, and so I sized it down and I like pretend like it's hanging from a wall and like I wanted this car item and it was one of the first items I picked out when I was picking out things to put in the diner and then it's had to move around so many different places that I don't even remember where it ends up later on in the video. I think it's like sort of near the jukebox is what I think it ends up being. It does move so much and I try to put a lot of like wall art and clutter around where I can. On like the tables, I put like textbooks and stuff because Copperdale is like high school years and it's like very like teen focused and I still wanted to keep that with my save files, so I put like just like some textbooks on some of the tables. And when I was like having my sim go there to make sure things functioned, I was like making sure that the textbooks didn't like completely make the tables not functional. I also put one of those little capsule vending machines in here, which I also have in the save. Well, it's not even a save yet, but when I put it all together and it is a full save file, there's another one in like a convenience store where the karaoke bar is. I thought it would be nice to just have another vending machine in here. Like more activities for your Sims to do on lots, the better in my opinion. So I added another one here. And now you can see all the clutter that I had picked out. This sort of like bear thing I figured was like tips, like someone could leave some change in there for the person like checking them out, and just like pens and like books and a whole bunch of wall art that I thought looked nice together. This is where I was just trying to make the diner feel realistic and actually functional and used. And I do end up bringing in some more decorations later on too. At one point, it took me forever to try to find like this one condiment thing for the table because we had like multiple of them. But I tried to look up, like, I looked up condiments and it didn't even like show up when I looked it up. And then I was looking up like ketchup, and then it would be I think it was from Outdoor Retreat, that was showing up, and then eventually, after, like, a while of me searching through all of the decorations, I was able to find it, but there are, like, different, like, centerpieces for some of the tables, like, outside, I think I use it's either, like, Backyard Stuff had, like, a ketchup table display, or it's, like, the toddler stuff, I really don't remember, like, some of the packs blend together in my head. And I did use a lot of these like string lights throughout too. Like These ones are new from business and hobbies. You can see I sized down that light from the big one, even though we have the tiny one, because I forgot that with my mod I could change the lighting and I didn't want to have to like switch it out. I can't believe I genuinely forgot that was a feature of Better Build By because I didn't have it in my game for a little while. And now like the kitchen, you can see the kitchen is really small. I didn't know how else to like I didn't know where else to put it, and this made the most sense. And also, you don't really need that big of a kitchen space in The Sims unless you are like running the business and you want to eventually have multiple cooks, which sadly is just not the case for this lot. I'm pretty sure it's like almost built all the way to the back of the lot too. I'm sure that there's ways to, like, get around it though and make it a little bit bigger if you really wanted to. And I wanted to have a TV here, but when you size it down, there's like the light on it is a bit strange. So I decided to just use this stereo instead. And I get like this like flat screen one, which is throwing me off because I was like, I don't know if they had TVs like this in like the 80s. And I was like, you know what, Megan, don't I'm sure like in most of the stuff you have isn't even accurate. So don't draw the line at this TV. And so I just put the TV on the wall. Either it could be something to look up, like orders, or an actual TV that they want to watch. I also found this really cute divider from Cozy Bistro, I think. And it would have been perfect to have like the booth with these dividers, but it was too big for this place, so I couldn't do it. And I was disappointed too because I was like, this is literally perfect and exactly what I wanted, like the vibe to be for this build. But I was like, no, let's just go with what we have because it is pretty small and it made the place look even more cramped trying to squeeze it in. And you'll see I put, like, books around different places, so I have, like, books in the waiting area, I have books, like, on top of a booth and also on, like, a table, and that was one of the, like, ketchup holders I said. I used that one outside, and then I finally found the one I was looking for, which is right here. Cut it all out, though, trust me, that took me forever to find this, and I was like, "I know it's a base game, and I cannot find it at all." But this is, like, the one that screams diner to me, and I really just, like I needed it. So I'm glad I found it eventually, and I had to size it down for one of the smaller tables, but it's okay. I don't think it's, like, that noticeable because like, the bigger one is on the other side of the room anyway. I don't know, things like that sometimes throw me off where I'm like, "I can't size one down and then have one the other size over there." I guess I could have sized all of them down. And now I have some bar stools here. Like, I don't even think in restaurants your Sims can actually sit down at a counter and eat? I don't remember, but I liked those bar stools a lot. I wasn't fully sold on the chairs I had picked out, but I liked the color of these ones a lot, and so I just, like, ended up keeping them here. And I went back in and I placed, like, different flags and stuff, and I was able to use one of the new pride items that was added like last week, I think it was, and I really like the neon signs that come with it and the string lights. It felt like it just like fit in perfectly in that spot too. I really like how it looked. And I was going through and I was finding like kids' drawings because again, when I was a kid, I remember eating at a restaurant where they used to hang up some of the like coloring pages that you would get when you were a kid and when you went out to eat with your family, and they would like hang them on the walls. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. And then I had like one of the main ideas I was gonna do with this was I wanted like a postcard wall for it to be like, oh yeah, people when they come in and out of town and they have like their postcards and like they leave them at this diner. And then I completely forgot about it. And then when I was going back in to add more stuff on the walls because I felt like the place looked a little bit too empty, I remembered and I was like, this is the perfect spot for it right here. As soon as you walk in, just have a bunch of different postcards over here, which I've done in like an Airbnb too, or it wasn't Airbnb, it was a bed and breakfast build. I had done that as well. I like having the little postcard walls and like builds. I feel like people would stop by and visit from all different places. And this is practically where I thought the build was done, or at least it was done until I did the voiceover. And then I create the basement, which is coming up after I just add these lights in. And so, yeah, here is the basement that I decided to do literally just earlier when I was doing this voiceover. And it was very simple. I brought out this fence a little bit. I decided to remove the grass that I had because I was like, this too much is going on over here. I'm just going to delete it. I'm really glad that I just went ahead and I added this to the build because sometimes I'll be like, wow, I wish I did this to the build. And then I just don't even like do anything about it. Even though I guess I could technically like go back in and like do that while I'm editing and like doing the voiceover. So that's one benefit of like me not really being able to do a voiceover all the way through as easily as I usually do. Cause I've like paused so much now, like stopping the recording and then starting again. And that gives me time to be like, you know what? Yeah, I can just go in and I could change these things. And that'll give me some more stuff to talk about since I've been struggling talking. But today, well, I mean, this is the next day anyway, but over the few days that I worked on this voiceover, it's felt a little bit easier. I think maybe it's because it is such a different build than what I've been doing, so I have a lot more like I can say and a lot more to like catch up on with the save file because it has been so long. But for down here, I just started putting in like utility stuff and storage boxes where I would think they would, like, keep extra ingredients, even though it kinda looks creepy down here, that's the point. I used, like, a light green lighting for the light, which I also did in the, like, video rental store that I made. 'Cause it makes it feel just like the makes, like, it feel like dingy fluorescent lighting, and without G-shade, it is a little bit more green, but I still think that's okay anyway. I think it still adds to, like, the environment a little bit, and that, like, scary door is, like, the walk-in fridge, which I just put more of those boxes that you see, like, in the middle of the floor and a couple of milk cartons. I didn't wanna go all out with trying to, like, fill it with stuff because I was gonna put a bunch of, like, the cottage living meat packages in here, but I knew that that would just go bad eventually, which is, like, I have a tendency to put food in my builds that will just rot, and so I was like, "You know what? Maybe this time I don't do that." But when I upload this to the gallery, there might be stinky plates around because when I play test it, there was just food on the tables, and I couldn't delete them in build mode. I could just go in and just, like, clean it up before I upload, which might happen, might not happen. But I ended up, like, going through the Basement Treasures stuff because I love that kit so much, but I wanted the stack of old chairs to make it seem like the broken chairs that were brought down here that haven't been used, as well as an old broken TV, and I put this scary broken mirror right in front of the walk-in fridge because I imagine that, like, the employees would hate having to grab stuff and pass that mirror, and so I put it in the most inconvenient place possible because of that. But now we're in the screenshots of the build. It is a small build, so there's not too many screenshots. Also, if you would like to support me, I have a creator code that you could use on the EA app at checkout. It's not a discount code, it is a creator code that helps to support me when you use it. So if you're planning on buying any packs and would like to support me, it is there. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll have more parts of this save file in the upcoming months because I'm actually feeling inspired to work on it some more. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye.